Once I will recap what we have discussed in earlier session. What kind of stages we have? Three kind of stages in the production: pre-production, production, and post-production. And produce this production with a single camera and with multiple camera, and studio production, outdoor production. Well, we discussed in the previous class the composition, the formats, rule of thirds, showing the shots, camera movements. Camera movements, we have pan, pan, pan left, pan right, tilt up, tilt down, and shoot, zoom in and zoom out. These are some camera movements. The production stages: pre-production, the first stage; production stage, the actual shooting time; and the post-production, there is a final stage, in which editing, dubbing, and other distribution activities involved in the post-production. And the studio production and outdoor production also we have discussed. OB vans, ENG vans, DSNG vans. In this and coming unit also, we will discuss more related to our journalism focusing. Unit number 8, writing for television. We know various program formats for the television. Television characteristics, what are the television characteristics? It's a audio-visual form. Seeing is believing, audio-visual medium. And it is need to be right, hear and see. What is the audience called here? In general, for a newspapers, who are the audience? Readers are the audience. Coming to the radio, listeners are the audience. In the television, the viewer is the audience here. So, based on the audience, the target is the audience. So, for him, it is easy to understand. It is easy to keep it in his mind, to keep it the memory long time. So, for that, the writing style is different than the print media, than the only audio media, that is the radio. Television news writing is distinct from other forms of writing. Unlike the print media or radio, which is a audio only. Print media in a form of print. The reader reads it. Coming to the The television script requires writing to visuals along with the information common to other media, means to hear and see. It's a combination of visuals, sound, movement, and also printed word. For television news gathering is all about speed and accuracy with journalists on the spot unfolding news as it occurs. News stories are written keeping in mind a large cross-section of viewers. Television news programs have to appeal both to the eye and ear, because of which the language needs to be simple, because seeing movement and hearing, it's passed in a second. So the viewer need to understand. So simple and short sentence, wherever the writing comes in the journalism, we must keep the simple and short sentence. In this unit, we will learn the writing style and television news gathering, television news presentation, television news bulletins, e-news gathering, means electronic news gathering, e-field productions, live coverage will cover in this unit. Here we need to recollect the characteristics of a television. Television is a audio visual medium, written to be heard and seen for the viewer. Audio visual medium which uses words, but its a primary content lies in the images on the television screen. In television, one can hear the message and see it too, giving it a distinct personality that enhance its credibility, because we are showing the visual content also, whereas in a radio only sound, in the newspaper only in the print form. Television can record and communicate sound just as radio does. Television can also display the printed word just as a newspaper do. However, it is not just a radio with moving pictures as some people seem to believe. Television is the combination of picture and sound in tandem to convey the message with greater clarity. It is imperative that there is a perfect blend of picture and word for a television story to make an impact. If the audio is different from the video, it will result in an audio-visual story that confuses and mismatched story. That will be disastrous in the television program. So keep in mind the technical issues does not arise while producing the programs. Another point is the written to the heart and see. In television, the message is not read as in a newspaper, but is presented. This involves the use of words, images, and sounds to convey the message. This principle is followed in all formats like news, talks, interviews, and discussions. Another distinct feature of television is the fact that can be seen and heard only once, while a newspaper reader has the advantages of reading it many times, but in the television, it is not possible. With an advent of dedicated news channels, there is a scope of the news stories being played more than once, or there is a chance of recording what one likes to see again. In case it is retelecast only, we can hear, we can see the program. If if it is not retelecast, there is a no choice. Television writing, therefore, has to be crisp, simple, and to the point, and easy to comprehend, easy to understand the viewer. It should register with the viewer who is unlikely to see it more than once. The whole purpose of communication is to convey a message in an easily understandable manner and without ambiguity. If the message is not understood by the viewer in the very first viewing, the purpose of communication is not achieved. Now coming to the viewer, who is viewer? In print media, the reader; in the radio, the listener; in the television, the audience is viewers, who may be literate, semi-literate, semi-literate or illiterate, highly educated, skilled person, unskilled person, professional, unprofessional. There is a huge audience for the television. That is why the television is a popular medium in the nowadays. Audience is here, therefore, the average viewer who, who can be defined as one who is not an expert but can understand information presented in a simple and direct manner. So here we does not mean that every viewer falls into this category. It is difficult or nearly impossible to cater to a wide variety of viewers with varying levels of understanding. Taking to this is the biggest challenge for the television program producers, for the journalists of television. Now we will discuss on the writing style. So already we know who are the audience for the television. Based on, so already we have discussed 99% who are the audience for the television in the various cadres. So it is need to understand easily to all categories of the people. In television, the reporter's larger commitment must be clarity and to attract and to hold the audience interest. Television adapts the conversational style of communication, whereas in radio also, where vocabulary should be limited to simple words and sentences without complex expressions. So the journalist, the reporter of television who writes the text, but many times in case of a live program, he will come to the screen. Otherwise, the the presenter who reads the message, who reads the news. So it should be matched. It should be easy to read to the presenter. So it should be in a conversational style, fresh conversational writing and delivery, and a powerful story telling with visuals help achieve these goals. Unnecessary information should be avoided. The easy to listen formula was coined by Professor I.F. Tang based on his survey of words used in television and newspapers. According to him, more than 30 syllables is not easy to comprehend. It is not easy to understand. In the newspaper, syllable means, for example, survey, one word. There is a two syllable. Of is a one syllable. 30 syllables means maybe it should be between the 10 to 15 words. Then only it is easy to understand the viewer. In case of radio also, the listener, if the sentence is between the 10 to 15 words, it is easy to understand the message. The same formula is applies in the newspapers also nowadays. Many newspapers are giving the short sentences in the newspapers, in the writing style. Some English newspapers are professional newspapers. There is their target readers are professionals. So they will give a complex sentence in the complex sentences with the words of 30 to 40 words. That is because their readers, they understand that language, that writing style. Unnecessary long sentences cannot be encouraged. There is a need for rigidity in the number of words used, but it is best to keep them short and simple for effective communication. While writing, another important element is visual dimension. The budget is telecast live as it is presented in a parliament, and therefore there are no video clips used in the news as in the days when live telecast was not possible. However, budget stories are generally presented with panel discussions by experts in the field of economy and in the finance, where graphics reveal the important statistics. And special programs break the budget so that the average viewer can understand its implications. Charts, pipe diagrams, graphs, are used to explain different statistics, allocations, and highs and lows of the budget. Even when there is no discussion, the graphics shown on the screen along with the news presented, it yields the desired results. Since time is a luxury in television news, there may be an impulse to cram as many as words into a 2-minute story as possible. Because in the television, there is a, in the newspaper, coming to the newspaper, there is a space in a square centimeters. In the television, there is a space in the form of 8 time. So the time is very much important in the television news writing. Special programs break the budget down so that the average viewer can understand its implications. Yesterday only we have a central budget session. Yesterday evening and afternoon, then after, and still today also we have many discussions, talk shows on budget. Once you observe how the news channels are presenting the budget session, how the English news channels and local news channels, they are presenting the budget related news, talk shows, discussions, experts' opinions. This is one kind of live experience we will get it to viewing the budget session, the news budget session in the television channels. Now coming to focus on the television news. Reporting for television involves interviewing, finding the facts, taping, editing, and writing stories that are happening or waiting to happen. Here is a news source. In case of the live programs, that is the source for the reporter to gather the news. In case of any recorded, any pre-event, in prior, they inform the news channels. So the television reporter and along with the camera person who visit that event and write down the report. There is a news gathering in a different stages. So news gathering in, for example, for live news gathering, it's required special equipment. OB vans, we already discussed in a previous class. Television news, coming to the television news, focusing on the television news. Television news is packaged attractively through audio, visual support, and shown through live presentation by the anchor in the studio. Maybe sometimes it is recorded also. Even though many programs nowadays we are experiencing the live programs, the anchor conveys the mood, tone, and message of the news story and is an integral part of the communication process. The conversational style adopted by the anchor or a news presenter can make television news a good experience with a special bond between the anchor, the reporter, and the audience. Audience means here viewers. The television story is like a dialogue with the viewers. So just our friend came and he saying some message to us. How we will feel, that same kind of feeling we will get through the television news. news bulletin. It creates a personal connect wherein the anchor talks to the viewer. That is we call it as a conversational style. The reporter and photographer are the same person doing both tasks, help tell a visual story in a best possible manner. Photographer for print media reporter and camera person for television reporter. Reporting for television involves interviewing, finding out the facts, editing and writing stories that are happening or waiting to happen. In addition to the basic principle of writing news, we know 5W and 1H. In the semester 1, semester 2, we read out what is the 5W and 1H. Who, what, where, when, why, how. These are the 6 basic elements in the news reporting. So in the television news also need to give the information about the 5W and H. If the how and why are left out to the audience, will be less informed. If we could not give full information, means every part is need to tell in the news, because this is with a clear and simple manner in a conversational style, because this is a one time hard process. We, in case if the program is re-telecast, it is possible to see it again. In case it is not re-telecast, the viewer could not heard or view the points. He is not well informed. Coming to the news gathering, instant replay and the production techniques make it possible for the audience to see the visuals play out again and again. And it is the reporter on the field who sums up the news behind the visuals. The link between the commentary given by the reporter and the visuals on the screen is crucial. In case of live program, there is a news electronic news gathering OB van is there. There is all equipments. P2C. We have a control room located. Control equipments of the control room is equipped with that van. The link between the commentary, for example, field reporter can be edited and packaged attractively after reaching the studio, can be reported or live with the linkage to the anchor in the studio or in case of important developments. Reporting involves putting things in perspective, and reporters vary their speaking pace and articulate reports to reflect the mood of the story. Broadcast reporters need to be quick and get whatever the footage they can at the spot. They have to add elements of drama, like speaking to eyewitnesses, and experts are mentioning fine details that only television can capture. Stories that are covered regularly by the beat reporter can be packaged interestingly if the field coverage is properly planned. Right inputs strengthen the television news coverage. Now coming to the television news presentation. As a reporter, we are gathering and reporting. We are sending the feeds or clips to the studio. The presentation, for example, a news bulletin. News bulletin is a package of news stories. A balance of heavy and light stories. Political developments, sports, finance, economic matters, business, human interest stories. All these are generally mentioned in the news bulletin, including in cinema. While some news channels may want to give the first priority to local happenings, another may want to concentrate on national issues. Because we have English news channels, regional news channels. If an English news channel, their priority is national issues. For Telugu news channels, means local news channels, their priority is local happenings. The news editor decides the order based on the news philosophy of the channel. The news bulletin is normally of 30 minutes duration. The duration of each news story is decided based on the importance and packaged accordingly. There are days when the newsroom is flooded with important stories and lean periods where there is hardly anything of interest. Sometimes a sudden development to the things of a balance. On such occasions, the editor and the news presenter who carried out in case of any news balance in the next bulletin. News editors usually have less prominent news stories at the end of the bulletin, which can be taken off if required. The same happens in the newspaper also, whereas sub-editors, news editors, their role is the same. Here in the television, the news editor of television, whose role is the same kind of which happens in the newspaper. So ultimately, the journalism professionals who works for the television or who works for the newspaper or radio, the activities are the same. But we here need to know the characteristics of the media. If the newspapers, that is a print media. If the radio, that is the only audio medium. The television, it is a audio and visual medium. If you have any doubts, you may raise your hand, and in case you may chat in the chat room, you may give a message in the chat room. I will clarify the doubts. If there is no doubt, I will move to the next topic. In general, in television news, what kind of television news? News bulletins. It's a general news bulletin. There is also panel discussions, experts' opinions, news roundups, and also other regular programs. For some entertainment programs also includes in some television news channels. Cinema news, it's a kind of news, cinema, not entertainment, but some television channels who gives some entertainment programs also. E-news gathering. Now we have a satellite channels. Technologies developed earlier. Only the monopoly, only Doordarshan channel is available. There is a news bulletins, serials, some entertainment programs, documentaries, telefilms in the Doordarshan. They were telecasted. Now we have a satellite news channels, 24 hours satellite news channels in all regional languages at the national level, in English and Telugu. So now we are getting the information within the seconds. How it is possible? It is possible with the e-news gathering, electronic news gathering. In the electronic news gathering, what is the process? In the e-news, electronic news gathering, the process of gathering news on video and conveying it to the news center. It can involve anything from a single reporter with a camera to an entire television crew taking a production van on location. A basic operation requires just one camera, minimum lights, and microphones to complete that program, to complete that, capture the program. Bigger and more important events, it required the use of multiple cameras. News gathering requires a cameraman and a reporter. But in many channels are reducing workforce by using smaller and portable equipment, wherein the reporter can also double up as a cameraman. Nowadays we have much quality features in the mobile phones, in the smartphones, comparing with a professional camera, video camera. There is not required because the technology now emerged within the hand with a much clarity production of a video is possible with the camera. So many news channels who recruiting reporters at mandal levels, at taluka levels. Earlier, for electronic media, there is a one reporter and one camera person for entire district. Now the phenomenon has been changed. There is a journalist, a contributor for a news channel for a mandal level also. Because he no need to take any camera, any mics, just with the support of a smartphone, he can record it. He can record it and send that clip to the studio. Transmission of the clips also, it is easy nowadays because of the technology advancement. Coming to the e-news gathering again, the e-news gathering does not require or leave any time for a pre-production as the news is immediate, except for planned news conferences. News requires spot coverage that is reported as it unfolds. Compact and portable equipment is more suited for news in view of the pace of events. Very often, camera person rush to the spot and may not have the time for the leisurely coverage. Many times, news shots require shoulder shots and the coverage against votes. In the normal courses, the reporter records the story which is telecast after editing along with the narration of the script referred to as the voiceover and relevant some sound bites. Important news can also be transmitted as it occurs through satellite, and this method is referred as satellite news gathering, SNG. Mobile phones are also used by reporters on the field to transmit news to the studio. Coming to the electronic field production. Electronic field production involves both electronic news gathering and studio production techniques. It requiring extensive planning and pre-production work. The advantage here is that the program can be edited as it is being shot and the final product is ready for telecast. Electronic field production can be single camera or multiple camera and take place outside the studio. Most sports matches seen on television are multi-camera field productions. Especially in cricket, they use 16 cameras. Sometimes they use 20 cameras. The production required a lot of staff and equipment and have to be planned to perfection. The makeshift production control room is set up for events that are telecast later. Now coming to the live coverage. One of the most clear reasons to cover an event live is its timing. Because of this competition field, many news channels, they are planning to give maximum events in live. When a significant sport news story is breaking, the only way to cover it during the regular telecast is to cover it live. There are many stories that don't qualify as sport news, but still deserve the live coverage. Ongoing events that can change rapidly often make good stories for the live coverage. Preparing live reports requires presence of mind and ability to present details with confidence. One of the first things a reporter should do at the top of a live shot is to clarify the location of the scene. Some stories may require only a general description of the location. If a specific location is newsworthy, if it is important when to make sure that the audience is told where the location is. There is a lot of pressure on reporters to be the first ones breaking a story because of the intense competition in the field. It is equally important to acknowledge questions the audience may have in mind. The reporter has to assure viewers that efforts are being made to get the answers. Live coverage requires interviews with a person in authority, eyewitness, and by status. It also requires coordination with the newsroom as the anchor or a news presenter who asks the reporter the questions pertaining related to the news. In some instances, the news presenter from the studio may want to talk directly to the person in power. For some stories, an expert may be seated next to the anchor and may want to talk to the reporter on the field. All these are important aspects of live coverage. Telecast of parliamentary proceedings and Republic Day parades, some important meetings and conferences, inauguration of some important projects, some international seminars, events, all covered in live. Nowadays, with the advancement of the technology. In this unit, we have covered the news gathering, field production, live coverage, television news gathering, writing style for the television, and particularly the television news story, and the characteristics of the television. If you have any doubts, please raise your doubts. I will clarify with suitable answers. Dear students, if you have no doubts, I will go with the next unit. In this course, we have 5 blocks. In the block 4, the introduction to film media. In this block, we have 2 units. Unit number 9, history and development of cinema, and another unit, the nature and types of films. Here is we are learning about the film media. Already we have discussed in the first unit only the film communication, not exactly as a journalism, but it is also one kind of communication. A film, also called a movie, a motion picture, moving picture, or a theatrical film, or a photoplay, a series of still images. When it's shown on the screen, it creates the illusion of moving images. Films are cultural artifacts created by specific cultures. They reflect those cultures and in turn affect them. Film is considered to be an important art form, a source of popular entertainment, and a powerful medium for educating. Here is what is educating some news, their story plot. It's about some awareness, some education related items includes in the films. Unit number 9, the history and development of cinema. In this unit, we will discuss the origin of cinema, phases of development of feature films and the documentary films, the growth of the film organizations and government institutions like Films Division, NFDC, National Film Archives of India, and another important government unit, Central Board of Film Certification, and present trends in the contemporary cinema. All these topics we'll discuss in this unit in detail. Cinema or a motion picture is the art of moving images, a visual medium that tells stories and exposes reality. It is created in the fag end of the 19th century. Cinema is the world's most recent art form. It is also by far the world's most complex, collaborative, and costly artistic expression. We know nowadays we are listening the budget of film. Earlier there is no discussion on the budget of the film to the every to the audience, to the every people. But now in a recent trends, now we are listening the budget of the film for the making and the budget in which how many rupees or amount they earned in which bracket means that there is a 100 crore budget, 200 crore budget, 1000 crore budget, 2000 crore budget. We are now we are witnessing in the newspapers and televisions. The profits also nowadays they are revealing. Earlier there is no this kind of news information to the in the field of cinema, but now we are listening the budget for preparation and how much they gain after releasing the cinema. Okay, that is another kind of a business matter. So we need not to discuss in the our journalism aspects, but in a general, as a journalist, we must aware of the about the budgets because it's a already we discussed. It's a costly artistic expression. If we have if to establish a satellite news channel that is required in some 30 to 40 crores rupees. Even though now we have a YouTube channels, there is a very less amount. If you have a 1 lakh rupees and you buy a quality camera phone and some editing shoot with a desktop, you can prepare, you can produce a film. But whereas coming to the cinema, it's a it's a costly, it's expensive medium. Coming to the history of film, Maya Deren, who born in 1917 and is death in the 1961, was one of the most important American experimental filmmakers and entrepreneur promoters of the avant-garde in the 1940s and 1950s. Now coming to the discussion on the first feature film in India. The first feature film made in India was a narrative name, Pundalik, by N.G. Chittre and R.G. Torne. The first full-length Indian feature film was Raja Harishchandra, made in here is 1913 and released commercially in May the same year by Dada Saheb Phalke. Raja Harishchandra features Dattatreya Damodar Dabke, Anna Salunke, Balachandra Phalke, and Gajanan Vasdev Sena, and is based on the legend of Harishchandra, recounted in the Ramayana and Mahabharata. Here we need to know about the Dada Saheb Phalke, who is a legend in the Indian film history, Indian film cinema, in Indian cinema. The first film being silent, that is a silent movie, had English and Hindi language intertitles. Phalke completed film in 6 months and 27 days, produced a film of 3.70 feet, about 4 reels. Nowadays we are seeing 16 reels, 14 reels, 13 reels movies. Phalke had attended a screening of The Life of Christ at P.B. Mehta's American Indian Cinema, and there he inspired to make films himself. He was convinced by the possibility of establishing an indigenous film industry by focusing on Indian themes. In this regard, he said, like the life of Christ, we shall make pictures on Rama and Krishna. The film was about an honest king of who, for the sake of principles, sacrificed his kingdom and family before the gods, who are impressed with this honesty and restored him to his former glory. The film was success. That is a Raja Harishchandra. And the Phalke went on to make more mythological films till the advent of talkies and commercialization of Indian films. Less ended is popularity. In 1916, Universal Pictures set up Hollywood's first Indian agency. The first South Indian feature film was Rangasamy Nataraj Mudalayar's, who is the director for that film. The film name is Trishaka Vadam, released in 1918. The following year, he made the film Draupadi Vastrapran. It's a featuring Anglo-Indian actress Marian Hill, who played the role of Draupadi. This is the history of the Indian films, where now we have various industries in the India coming to the Bollywood, that is a Hindi language media, Hindi language cinema industry. For Telugu industry, we call the title Tollywood. For Tamil, we call the title is Kollywood. For Kannada, we call the Kannada industry, we call it is a sandalwood. There is a in Kerala, in Malayalam, the Malayalam industry we call the Malluwood. So the industry, the cinema industry is started in the from Bengal. The Bengal is the for the newspapers. The Bengal is the base for the film also. The Bengal is the base for the film industry. Later it is shifted to the Mumbai. Mumbai, the Bollywood is Hindi for Hindi pictures, Hindi films. The Hindi industry, Hindi film industry is located in the Mumbai. For South Indian, before many, the Chennai is, Madras is the key role played in the for South Indian country states. Whereas in the Madras there is a Tamil, Telugu, Malayalam, and Kannada films also were made in early stages. Later there is a in each language, for example, for Telugu, the Telugu industry shifted to the Vijayawada and Hyderabad, and the Kannada is shifted to the Bangalore. For Malayalam shifted to the Cochin and Thiruvananthapuram. This is the basic history about the Indian history of film. So this session is here I am concluding. We will discuss phases of development of feature films and documentary films and important film-related units of our Indian government institutions like National Film Development Corporation, Central Board of Film Certification, Film Division, and National Film Archives of India. We will discuss in the coming session. Thank you, dear students, for listening this online class.